I thought a topic of today would be, what is one of the most powerful and meaningful thing I could share with you as a hypnotherapist? Now, thinking about these ideas that I have for you today, I only wish I would have known this, not only when I was a young mom, but way, 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 way sooner. Boy, would I have done things differently. Would I have understood things differently? So, to start out, please know you are not broken and you're also not stuck. You are programmed. So, for example, if you have this issue, let's just call it that, whatever it might be, whether it's emotionally feeling stuck, or mentally somehow feeling blocked, or physically feeling in pain, tension, anxiety, depression, burnout, numb, disconnected, easily triggered, irritated, rage, anger. Maybe you're always feeling negative emotions like anger and rage and guilt and shame and fear, and you have a hard time feeling happiness or joy or even relaxing, right? And being in the present moment, connecting to people around you, please know there is nothing wrong with you. What is wrong and what is not useful is that there is a program or several programs that are running the show. Now, these programs, they're not loud, they're not expressive. It's hard to detect them. It's hard to know that they're there. It's even hard to identify them. But if you are not feeling like your best self, or, and this is another very interesting phrase I will hear from my clients a lot, is like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And as strange as that may sound, I find it to be incredibly accurate, because you're right. You don't know who you are anymore. In fact, it's probably been a long, long time since you even knew who you were at the core. And that's what I would like to talk to you about. Because the question needs to be, well, where does that come from? Why? Why do I have anxiety? Why do I keep comparing myself to other people all the time? Why do I feel not good enough? Why do I keep overthinking? Why do I have obsessive compulsive disorder? Or why do I have these habits that I know they're not good for me? I know I should stop doing them, but I can't. It makes no logical sense, right? It makes exactly. And so then here is where people will start the self-loathing and the self-accusations and the self-blaming and the self-shaming. And guess what? If that worked, you would have worked it by now. But what it actually causes is so much more internal stress, and it doesn't work. And if you have been caught in this self-loathing pattern, which, by the way, no, you're not alone. So much of humanity has that kind of relationship with themselves. You know how many clients ask me, how can I love myself more? How can I connect to myself? How can I appreciate myself? How can I love myself? What a beautiful, warranted, important question. Thank you for asking that. And for the fact that you need to ask that question, do you know what that tells me? Already between the lines, I understand that you, a long, long time ago, you don't even remember this. You don't even know you did. But a long, long time ago, you literally deserted yourself. Now, I'm not accusing you and telling you that, this is, I'm blaming you because you did it unconsciously, because a long, long time ago, somebody might have yelled at you. They might have rejected you. They might have judged you. They might have criticized you. They might have tried to correct you or tell you you're wrong, or try to kind of make you conform and perform, and you need to be a good little child, and it's an unspoken rule in our house that we need to keep the peace. Or maybe you were literally abused or neglected. And what do you think a person, especially at a very, very young age, before they even have a fully developed conscious mind yet, which by the way happens after the age of 13? Yep. So that means before the age of 13, a child is easily hypnotized. What does that mean? Basically, just very basic. anything you were told, anything you were taught, anything you were shown, anything that somebody told you, basically, we automatically believe it. We buy into it. And then we start to believe that's how the world works and that's how I work. And so, for example, if you were a child, I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but a child who has emotions, every child has emotions, obviously, right? Imagine you had anger or you had fear. But in that moment, an adult or an authority figure, which by the way could even be a sibling who's 1 year older, because for a child, everybody that's even a little bit older seems like an authority. Imagine if that authority figure, which that's just a label, please keep in mind how distorted, there's no such thing as an authority figure. Who made that decision? Like who decides who qualifies and quantifies as an authority figure? We got to start there. But of course, children easily believe everybody else is an authority figure. And depending on, maybe if you got angry or you had fear, you were yelled at or you were scolded or they were telling you, shh, quiet, shut up. Children are seen, not heard. You became a part of the furniture, right? That's when a child will then basically start to believe, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I must be broken. Or even children who come from maybe divorced backgrounds or chaotic backgrounds or households. Guess what they will do? They will blame themselves. To them, that's the most reasonable, logical, normal conclusion, even though it's not true. But how many children fundamentally deep down inside believe that it's their fault that they were abused, it's their fault that their parents got divorced, it's their fault that there was a lot of chaos, it's their fault that their family had money problems, because if I hadn't been there, well, my family would be wealthy because I'm another person that they have to take care of. So, and that's very expensive. Right? If a child is being told, who do you think you are to ask for such expensive things? Money doesn't grow on trees. And by the time a child is 13 years old, they will have adapted and embodied and believed so many of these convoluted, difficult beliefs. And they literally completely buy into this idea: I am too expensive, I am not good enough, I am broken, there's something wrong with me, I'm not a good enough child, oh my god, I got a bad grade, that means I am bad. Oh my god, in school we get graded like cattle. Like how dysfunctional these systems are. But only when we become an adult, if that even happens, certain people will start to ask themselves, certain people will start to become curious, and they will become skeptical, and they'll start to ask questions, which, by the way, congratulations, now you have finally woken up. Now you can call yourself literally an enlightened, awakened human being, because now the work begins. And you will now get to the root and to the bottom of why you have this anxiety, why you're burnt out, why you feel not good enough, why you keep comparing yourself to other people, why you're holding on to this guilt, why you're holding on to all this shame, why is fear your dominating emotion? Why do you have fear of success? Why do you have fear of failure? Why do you have fear to be seen? Why do so many professionals have fear of public speaking? Why? Because from an early age, they started to believe, like fully and totally and completely, I'm not good enough. So, the phrase, money is the root of all evil? Yeah, okay, good try. No, programming. Programming is the root of all evil, because programming is what disconnected us from our core, from our soul, from our essence, from this natural, divine, intelligent guidance system that has been with us from the moment we were born. But if we didn't experience over and over, especially as a child, you're not good enough, and don't embarrass us, and who do you think you are, and you dress funny, and your haircut looks stupid, and your nose is big, and why are you wearing glasses? And by the way, these are just the mild things, not to mention some of these horrific things that so many people experience. And then they wonder, why do I have obsessive compulsive disorder? Why do I have anxiety? Because it all goes down to programming. Because from an early age, all these emotions have been bottling up inside of you. And nobody taught you how to understand your emotions. Nobody showed you that your emotions are the most powerful, meaningful, important navigational system you have. Nobody explained to you feeling your emotions is the most important thing. Expressing your emotions, taking a stand for your emotions, handling your emotions, honoring your emotions. And then the next step, right? Register, attune to your emotions, and then understand what do your emotions want to tell you. Anger is typically about maybe somebody, disrespected you. What standard do you, right? How taking a stand for yourself. Anger is not a bad thing. I know we humans label emotions as negative and positive, or good and bad, and there's no such thing. Rather than labeling them, how about accepting them and learning from them? Anger is healthy. When you can express anger and say, nobody talks to me like this. Nope, this salary is not good enough for me. Nope, this is how, these are my rules. This is my sandbox. This is how I run my business. If you don't like it, no problem. Right? So anger can be such a powerful teacher. Same with fear, same with sadness, same with guilt, same with shame. And most children, when they were children, nobody explained to them what emotions mean and how to use them to your advantage, to your power. Instead, most children had to bury their emotions. Most children, you're seen and not heard. Nobody cares. Nobody's, how many children do you know that literally their parents or caregivers or authority figures or the people around them actually cared enough to say, what's your opinion? What are your thoughts on this? How are you feeling? What do you want? Why do you want that? What makes you, right? And so that's all a child needs. All a child needs is for somebody to give them a little bit of curiosity, give them a little bit of compassion, give them a little bit of, you matter. Tell me more. How did you come up with these thoughts? Most people didn't have that. And so, logical conclusion, then a person will eventually begin to think and feel, I'm not important, I don't matter, I am stupid, I am worthless, I am, right? And so that's where these programs sort of begin to manifest. And then, needless to say, as an adult, we then experience fear of failure, fear of success, self-sabotage, procrastination, comparing ourselves to other people, feeling inferior, feeling less than. Well, that's not an accident. That happens naturally and gradually through these programs that then literally stay attached to us. And until we do this work, until we start to investigate and ask ourselves, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling numb? Why do I feel anxious even though there's nothing obviously wrong? Why do I get triggered easily even though I should, like somebody cut me off, I shouldn't be still mad 3 days later, right? Why do I feel burnout? Why do I keep attracting toxic relationships? Why do I keep saying yes when I mean no? Why do I keep people pleasing? Why do I bend over for everybody backwards and do all these things? And then what about me? Yeah, because all these things have become a habit. At the end of the day, look, as a hypnotherapist, I now recognize that those things have now become a habit that unfortunately was installed unconsciously. You didn't do it on purpose. You don't even remember it. But that root belief then became a habit that as an adult just becomes bigger and bigger, and it becomes like an avalanche. It becomes like this overwhelming amount of stress that is consuming so many people today. And what they don't know, which is this is where my work comes in, just helping you release some of these emotions, which really is unhealed trauma, can make such a big difference in helping you regain inner peace, helping you regain your power, helping you regain control over you, so that you can finally get to know who you really are. I mean, this sounds, as so many of my clients say, I don't even know who I am anymore. Believe it or not, that's a very healthy realization. That's a very useful realization. And instead, I know people typically come to me as a last resort. I've done therapy, I've done all this self-help, self-development, podcasts, videos, the self-hypnosis tapes, I've done everything, and I still don't feel better. Yeah, because chances are you have been trying to solve this through logic. And usually in our world, logic is a good thing, but what if that didn't work? Well, now we got to get into the subconscious. That's the emotions, and figure out what is really stuck in there. And very often we'll find a story, we'll find the root cause of this issue, and now the work can begin. And that's when a person feels the transformation, the healing, and they finally, it sounds funny, but it's like they get reacquainted with themselves again. And that's a beautiful moment because it's incredibly touching. It's really, really deep and profound. And just to witness that is just the most beautiful, beautiful thing. That is ultimately what helps a person restore their health. They get to sleep like a baby again. They feel happy as if for the first time in their life. And it's just an incredible moment. So I wanted to let you know that this is available. This is natural. This is effective. This is something anybody can appreciate. And by the way, if you say, "Oh, I've already done hypnosis, all these tapes and videos, they didn't work on me," I can understand why. Because something like this requires, you deserve to get personal attention rather than a generalized, "Oh, here's a video I made for everybody." It doesn't work like that. You deserve very personalized one-on-one attention. Think about it. The root cause for 10 different people will be in 10 different places. So, this has to be something that is an intimate, personalized process for you to be able to really get to the core, get to the depth that you deserve to get to. So I hope this helped somebody today. Again, please know there is no such thing as broken, stuck, sick. Any of these things, the subconscious has shown us that healing is available. Nobody should have to suffer needlessly. I'm here for you. Feel free to reach out. In my comment section somewhere, there is a link. You can book a call. We can have a free consultation and we'll take it from there. I'll see you soon.